This is Jared Horak for the RunawayHorse.com, and welcome to my video race of the week. I'm going to cover the Grade 3 Ohio Derby this week. Last week I covered a couple of closing weekend stakes races from Santa Anita Park. One on Saturday where my top choice finished third, and then one on Sunday, the Grade 3 Wilshire Stakes. My top choice Warren Showtime rallied for the win in that race. So 1 for 2 last week. Let's see if we can get another winner in the Ohio Derby. Now if you're interested in my free selections, right now, I'm not covering any full cards. Santa Anita finished last week. My full cards will resume at the RunawayHorse.com with the start of the Del Mar Summer Meet on July 16th. So I'll be back with the full cards then. But right now I have free selections at the Runaway Horse. On my California page, I'm going to do free stakes selections from Los Alamitos Racecourse. And then on the New York page, free stakes picks from Belmont Park. Over at HorseRacingNation.com, my daily bets blog will continue to go, and I'm having a good month for the month of June. Just had a nice trifecta in a race at Belmont Park today. And then tomorrow I'll have another free selection. I'm going to do a stakes race from Monmouth Park for Friday, June 25th. And then I'll do some more stakes races over the weekend for that Best Bets blog. And I'll provide, in this description in this video, I'll provide links to those free selections at the RunawayHorse.com and at HorseRacingNation.com if you're interested in those. Now let's jump into the Ohio Derby. It's going to be for Saturday, June 26, 2021, the 9th race from Thistledown, the Grade 3 $500,000 Ohio Derby for 3-year-olds, 1 mile and an eighth on the main track with a scheduled post time 5:04 p.m. Eastern Time, a field of 11. Number 1, Promise Keeper, 7-2 morning line for trainer Todd Pletcher. This one exits back-to-back victories at this 1 mile and an eighth distance. And from the inside post at Keeneland on April 8th against Optional Claiming Company, he stalked from 4th and he pulled clear to win by more than 5 lengths. And then in the Grade 3 Peter Pan Stakes, he won that one as well, a prep race for the Belmont Stakes. He tracked the pace from 2nd. He took over. He won by a bit more than 2 lengths. They decided not to run him in the Belmont Stakes. They decided for this spot instead. We know he likes the distance. And from that inside post, I can see him sitting the same trip that he did at Keeneland on April 8th. Luis Saez rode him that day. He's riding him again. He's ridden him in each start. So look for him to save ground stalking the pace. The 2, Falcon's Fury. He's run 9 times with 2 wins in 3 seconds. And he competed once at Thistledown in an entry-level allowance race on June 14th from the outside post in a 7-horse field. He stalked the pace from 5th. He made a bid at the lead. He finished 2nd, but he just held 2nd by a length and a quarter behind the winner, and then just a nose in front of the 3rd place finisher. So his speed figures aren't fast enough to beat a field like this. Number 3, Hosier. He moves from Bob Beffert's barn to Rudolph Brissett's barn. He disappointed in the Sir Barton Stakes as the heavy favorite last time, where he tracked the pace, he took the lead, and then he lost by a head. He was 60 cents on the dollar that day. He broke his maiden 2nd time out when he stretched out in distance for the first time at Santa Anita Park. That was back in February. And then in the Rebel Stakes, behind at that time, his stablemate was Concert Tour. Concert Tour controlled the pace. Hosier picked up the pieces and finished 2nd. And then he was nowhere in the Arkansas Derby prior to the Sir Barton Stakes. So he's been a disappointment in overall, especially last time. And I think he's going to have to really step it up to beat a field like this. The 4, King Fury, definitely a contender for the top 3 in here. He's going on Lasix for the first time. He's 3 for 6 lifetime. I liked him last year as a 2-year-old. He broke his maiden in his career debut around 2 turns at Churchill Downs. And then they put him in the Breeders' Futurity Stakes. He was 8th, beaten 13 lengths. Essential Quality won that one. The Street Scent Stakes, a much easier spot in his 3rd career start. He stalked. He won that one nicely. And then after the Street Scent Stakes, they said they were going to skip the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. They were going to go right to the Kentucky Jockey Club Stakes. They changed their mind. They ran him in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile less than 2 weeks after the Street Scent Stakes. And then in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, he was no threat. He was 7th, beaten 10 lengths. Then they also wheeled him back and ran him in the Kentucky Jockey Club Stakes 3 weeks after that. And then in that race, he stalked, battled on the lead, finished 5th. So then they gave him some time off. And then he did add blinkers for the Kentucky Jockey Club Stakes, and that was the only time he wore them. So then he finally returned on April 10th, the Grade 3 Lexington Stakes in the slop at 1 mile and a 16th at Keeneland. And in that race, there was a ton of pace. The 1 and 2 in that race, they were stretch out speed horses. They went out, they dueled on the lead, they set it up for the closers, and King Fury certainly liked that fast pace. He rallied from 10 lengths back to win by more than 2 lengths. So he got a perfect setup in that race. They paid a lot for him, $950,000, a son of Curlin. Obviously, Taurus is the dam stakes winner. So excellent pedigree here for trainer Ken McPeek. And it's a good sign that he earned his best career speed figure in his first start as a 3-year-old. But he did get the perfect setup there, and I don't know if he's going to have that much pace to chase in here, but he also doesn't have to be that far back. The 5 Ethical Judgment, he's lightly raced. He's had 4 starts, 2 wins, and 2 seconds. The thing about this one is he might be a turf horse. In his career debut in a turf route, he rallied to finish second by a head. They tried to put him on the turf in his last 3 starts, but all of those races were moved to the main track. He broke his maiden in an off-the-turf race on a fast track at Keeneland last fall. And then his both starts this year in the slop at Keeneland and Churchill, he was second, and then in an entry-level allowance race, and then he won an entry-level race last time out as the favorite. So now they're going to just try keep him on the main track. I think if it doesn't go well in these stakes races on the main track, they can always move him back to the turf. Hello Hot Rod, number 6. He's run 5 times with 3 wins and 1 second. He had that 3-race winning streak after missing by a neck in his career debut in a sprint, but in his first 4 starts, they were all around 1 turn. He tried this distance in the Federico Tessio Stakes on April 24th, and he ended up finishing an even 4th. So I think maybe he could be better around 1 turn. The next one is number 7, the Reds, and he definitely likes this mile in an 1/8 distance. He's run at this distance 4 times with 2 wins, a second, and a third. So both of his career wins were at this mile in an 1/8 distance, including the Federico Tessio Stakes, where he actually crossed the line second by a head. He was placed first through disqualification. And then he broke his maiden at this distance as well. And then in the Grade 3 Pennine Ridge Stakes, originally scheduled for the turf, run on a wet track at Belmont Park last time, at this mile in an 1/8 distance, he stalked, he led, he finished second, and he was 5 lengths clear of the rest. So he likes this distance. He'll probably be sitting in mid-pack, and he could definitely finish somewhere in the top 3 at a little bit of a price. Keep me in mind, he's 4-1 morning line, but he's only 1 for 6 lifetime. It's interesting that he broke his maiden in a stakes race. He only ran in a maiden race 1 time, and he finished second in that race in his career debut, and then it was all stakes races after that. The Breeders' Futurity Stakes, he was second behind Essential Quality. He was 3rd in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile behind that same rival. Kentucky Jockey Club Stakes, he rallied for the win to break his maiden as the favorite. The Rebel Stakes this year, the Bluegrass, the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, he didn't finish in the top 3 in any of those races, but he didn't run poorly in the Kentucky Derby. He was 19th early. There was no pace. Speed kept going. He passed a bunch of horses, and he finished 7th that day. And then in the Preakness, he was an even 4th. He just doesn't have any speed. Putting blinkers on, put blinkers back on because he wore them in several starts last year, doesn't really seem to affect his speed, but maybe it'll help him focus a bit more late and possibly hit the board. The 9 Proxy, he didn't wear blinkers in his first 5 starts, and he finished 1st or 2nd in all of those races. And then they put blinkers on in the Louisiana Derby and the Lexington Stakes, and he finished 4th in both of those races. So he was flat in both of those efforts, and now they're going to take the blinkers back off. And let's see if that makes a difference. And Joe Bravo climbs aboard as well. I think he's going to stalk the pace outside. He can sit a decent trip in here, and I think you can use him somewhere in your exotics. Number 10, Mask Parade. Now he's one that I mentioned in a video I did a couple weeks ago where I did my Belmont Stakes recap, and then I said look for some horses that did not run in the Triple Crown Series to run in some of these stakes races over the summer and into the fall. And Mask Parade was one of the horses that I mentioned could make some noise in some of these races. He didn't have a great start to his career. He didn't run well in his first 2 starts, and then he woke up in his 3rd career start at a mile and a 16th at Fairgrounds, where he finished a nice even 3rd, beating 1 3/4. In his next start, he actually graduated. He didn't break his maiden. He actually crossed the line 2nd, placed 1st through disqualification. The runner-up was a next out winner, and then Mask Parade was also a next out winner on the Kentucky Derby undercard at Churchill Downs at this mile and an 1/8 distance against Optional Claiming Company. From post 10 in a 10-horse field, he stalked outside. He swept to the lead, and he just poured it on. He won by 11 lengths, and he earned a strong speed figure. Really looked good that day. So if you look at his speed figures, improving in each race, and he's really ready. It looks like to tackle Stakes Company. We'll see how good he is in here. Good. This is a good spot to see how good he is. And then finally, number 11, Channel Fury. He's 20-1 morning line, and he could be the pace setter. He's run 6 times, and he's finished in the top 3 in all 6 with 3 wins, and then 2 of those wins were at Thistledown, including last time in a sprint race, a non-winners 2 lifetime allowance race. He just won easily that day. The distance is going to be the big question. All of his wins were in sprint races. He did try the 1 mile distance, and he caught a wet track on May 3rd against non-winners of 3 lifetime. And in that race, he had a big lead, and he couldn't hold it. He finished 2nd. So now at this mile in an 1/8 distance against this graded group, and there's some solid horses in here, I don't think he can go this far against this kind of company. So typically I'll give out my top choice in these videos, but for this one I'm going to give out my top choice and then all of my wagering strategies for the Ohio Derby. And my top choice in the Ohio Derby, my value top choice, is going to be number 10, Mask Parade. Really was impressed with his win last time out. Strong speed figure. If he can run that kind of race, I think he can be right there throughout against this group, and maybe he can pull off the upset. So number 10, Mask Parade, my top choice, and I'll make a win wager on him. And then my second choice in here is Promise Keeper, and it was really between those 2 for my top choice, but Mask Parade is just going to offer more value. So I am going to use Promise Keeper in exactas and trifectas, and the other horse that I like to finish underneath in here is number 7, the Reds, because he likes this distance, and he could be in the right spot to pounce and hit the board. So here's how I'll play this race completely. We're going to make a win wager on number 10, Mask Parade. We're going to play an exacta. We're going to use Promise Keeper and Mask Parade in first, and then we're also going to add number 7, the Reds, in second. So that'll be number 10 to win, and then an exacta 1-10 with the 1-7-10, and then the trifecta. We're going to put the 1 and 10 on top. We're going to use the 1, 4, 5, 8, 9, and 10 in second, and then we're going to key number 7, the Reds, in third in that trifecta. So those horses I'm using in second in the trifecta are number 4, King Fury, number 5, Ethical Judgment, number 8, Keep Me in Mind, number 9, Proxy. So those are the horses I'm adding in along with the 1 and 10. So one more time on the wagers, number 10 to win in the Ohio Derby, exacta 1-10 with the 1-7-10, trifecta 1-10 with 1, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10 with number 7, the Reds, keyed in third. So that will wrap up my analysis of the Ohio Derby. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Make some comments in the comment section. What do you think about this 2021 edition of the Ohio Derby? That will wrap up this video. I'll be back next week, and I'll take a look at some more stakes races from around the country. Until then, good luck at the races.